Rose was the old lady who was famously featured in Titanic. She was well known for her independent spirit and her high expectations set for herself. Her story was at the center of a true tragedy that was immortalized in a film by James Cameron. Rose was an elderly woman whose wisdom and courage served her well. Widowed by her first husband, Rose was a wealthy woman who lived a life of luxury on the Titanic. She had a close relationship with her English maid, and enjoyed the life at sea. On the night Titanic struck the iceberg, Rose was one of the few who managed to survive the tragedy. She was seen atop the makeshift life raft singing "Nearer, My God, to Thee." After her rescue, Rose spent a few more months with her second husband and died peacefully in 1962 at the age of 95. The story of Rose, and of the Titanic, lives on to this day. Rose was ahead of her time. She was an independent woman who chose her own destiny and wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in. She had an adventurous spirit, and a curious nature that served her well in her later years. Her experience on the Titanic forever shaped her worldview. Rose was a survivor. She endured a great tragedy and managed to remain resilient and persevered. Rose faced the impossible and won. Rose was a loving and caring mother who protected and loved her daughter until the very end. Her selflessness and courage were unmatched. Despite her age, Rose's youthfulness and spirit of life never dulled. Her joy in living was a defining characteristic that kept her going. Rose stood as a role model for those who faced difficulties in their lives. Her life was a testament to the power of the human spirit. Rose was an inspirational woman who faced the greatest of odds and rose above them. She was a true example of courage and tenacity. Despite the odds, Rose found love a second time in her late years. She enjoyed a good life with her new husband and had a close relationship. Rose's life was full of adventure. From her travels to her experience surviving the Titanic tragedy, Rose lived a life full of stories. In her later years, Rose's courage and independent nature still prevailed. She continued to challenge the status quo and speak her mind. Rose was passionate about life and cherished every minute of each experience. From the Titanic to her later years, Rose lived her life to its fullest. Rose was an optimist and saw the best in all her experiences. She was an example of grace and poise in the face of tragedy and loss. Rose's story is an inspiring tale of faith and endurance. Her courage and fortitude during the world's greatest tragedy will never be forgotten. Rose will always be remembered as an independent, strong, and courageous woman in the face of adversity. After the sinking of the Titanic, Rose made sure that her story was heard. Her courage and determination were an inspiration to many. Rose was a woman of great strength and courage. She faced tragedy and managed to stay strong and keep living and loving. When Rose returned to America after the Titanic tragedy, she began to write about her experiences. Her words were an amazing testimony of what she had endured. Rose carried great wisdom and insight that she had gained throughout her life. She was an inspiration to many who heard her story and her words of encouragement. Rose was compassionate and kind. She believed in the power of giving and of helping others in need. Despite her age, Rose saw the world with young eyes. Her passion and spirit never dulled, and she had a remarkable ease about her.